Relevant. I think comparatively we're a very modest scale organisation. Our turnover is, well, I'm happy if it's $500,000 a year, put it that way. Yes, and I have a background in local authority, arts development, but I've been Chief Executive of Edinburgh Printmakers since 2006. So when I took the organisation on, there was quite chronic financial difficulties or challenges, and in 2008 obviously everybody started talking about recession, and we were at that point, I think about 70% of our income was self-generated through our commercial activities as an arts organisation. So that kind of situation declined, so I was pretty much faced with having to do something really quite drastic to ensure the future sustainability of my organisation. So I'm going to talk you through where we're at with the Rubbermill, which we've rebranded Castlemill Works. It does actually come from the original title, which was Castle Mills. As has been mentioned, it was the headquarters of the North British Rubber Company. And we haven't finished this project, so I can only really tell you where we've got to with it. But first I'm just going to tell you a little bit about our organisation, then a little bit about the funding plan and our options appraisal and the process we've been through, and where we are now. So this is where we are at the moment. We're an artist collective, been established since 1967. Again, this is a very different approach because this is an arts organisation coming at actually needing to resolve its business issues rather than a heritage organisation or a building preservation trust wanting to do something with a building. So we had issues. We're in a Victorian wash house at the moment, very squashed for space, really. This is a picture of one of our artist technicians working with a leading artist commissioning print work. This is part of our kind of revenue streams. We're publishing limited edition original prints, which we then market directly through our exhibitions programs and also through the commercial gallery sector, nationally and internationally. We also have a really important role to play in terms of ensuring that the very specialist skills that are required for printmaking are continued from generation to generation. There's been a massive decline in specialist education for printmaking across the university sector. There's now only 14 specialist undergraduate courses in printmaking in the UK, and that's an ever depressing picture. So from really analysing the environment, it became very apparent to me that we really had to step up and start to really represent this medium and become a home, really, or a heartland for these graduates of these courses that are dispersed across the UK. So we run all these specialist courses, but again, as you can see, courses for youngsters as well, right the way through. So the capital process has actually helped us to evolve our education strategy to the point that we're now working with a memorandum of understanding with the local college and universities and looking at accredited courses right the way from diploma level right the way through to masters and PhD, and being able to offer something that's unique in the UK in terms of a studio-based education, but also something that we feel we can package and actually commercialise further in terms of selling the IP onto other universities throughout the UK. Another big part of what we do, obviously, is access and participation. One of our challenges in our existing building was that we have a first floor gallery, which meant it was really difficult, obviously, to fulfill our obligation in terms of disability access. And I've often joked with people that what actually set me on this pathway was having an engineer from the Stena Stairlift company come and actually talk to me about what I needed to do to get people from the ground floor to the gallery. And I just thought that was so, it was just so inadequate, really, not a good idea. So that was one of our drivers, indeed. So these are pictures from our upper floor gallery. It's quite a small space. We've only got about 60 metres squared, but we do present quite innovative work in print. It's very much about situating printmaking within a wider contemporary art practice, and it's very much about an international programme. We've often shown artists who go on to win the Turner Prize or whatever, and I mean, you know, we really have a role in nurturing, you know, these sort of mid-career or early career artists who then go on to you know, to do well in their careers. And there's just a couple of slides here just to show that we're a very busy little space. It's very adaptable, but really you can start to see why we had these drivers for change, really. So we had no dedicated education space, so any kind of workshops with artists, you know, having to take place in the gallery as well. So it's difficult to compete really as a contemporary arts centre with audiences' expectations and you know the diverse roles that we need to play in terms of access and engagement. So this is just a slide from one of the art fairs that we attend. It's just, again, we've been talking about the commercial side. We are a charity, however, we do actually support approximately 400 artists a year as a place of work, and we then promote their work through commercial channels, through art fairs and commercial gallery spaces. So we're actually a kind of a career development provider as well. These, again, just to give you some ideas of the smaller scale activities that we do, just supporting young artists, young graduates, and kind of creating umbrella marketing activities that help to give them more profile and get their work out to market. So just to give you a little bit of a summary there about the drivers really for our development. As I say, we weren't really setting out to redevelop a building, we were setting out to sort out our business model. And I think we'd had a consultant in 2010 who had said, you know, you better do something or you're going under. So that was the sort of the doom and gloom situation. We needed more space, we needed more exhibition space so that we could be both innovative on a very critical level, so that we have a standing within the industry, within the visual arts, but also we needed to be able to show quite commercial artwork, and those two things don't always sit aside one another. So we needed versatility really with regard to exhibition spaces. Visitor services, obviously, you know, to get people to repeat visit and enjoy their visit and pass it on to, you know, to friends and relatives and bring people along. Obviously, you need to have some form of refreshments available and etc. etc. So we really needed to develop our visitor service capacity. And crucially, the point here is about income generation. We needed to find a way to commercialise our assets, really, and find a better way forward. So, having done an options appraisal for about a year, going around looking at lots of different council buildings, we'd actually already achieved 1.7 million at this time, and we're about to buy a 1990s print works in a place called Stockbridge, when the council came to us and said, I really think you should have a look at this building. The Stockbridge building, interestingly, would have been an easy win for us, but it wasn't very visible, and it really didn't offer us any opportunities for developing our business model. We didn't quite know how we were going to develop it, but there really wasn't the space there for us to do anything new. And when we came here to this building, as sad as it looks, and it was in a terrible state, we just could really see the potential there. It's very visible. It's on a main thoroughfare into the city with 60,000 cars passing by every day. It's since they demolished the rest of the canning factory, which was on the site, an 8-acre site. The building kind of suddenly stood proud. And I think it's something about its character, obviously, which attracted us as an arts organisation to go into a building that we felt would have character and would attract audiences. Okay, so this is well, this is where I do have to stand up, actually, isn't it? So this is us here, and this is the master plan here. So it's a mix of, I mean, at the moment it's all just a derelict site, but it's a mix of residential, commercial, hotel, business, and a cinema here. And along here is the canal. So there's very much a plan within the 7N architects who are leading the master planning to make the most of this canal frontage, really, to make this site a visitor attraction within the city, and to take it from being quite a frightening and derelict place, to somewhere that people really want to visit and bring the family, and lots of cycling or whatever along this canal route here into the centre of the city. So I started to look into obviously the heritage as a heritage lottery as a way of funding the project. I think the original feasibility suggested it was going to cost 6 million. Well, the original report from the council said it was going to cost 3 million. Then our feasibility said it was going to cost 6 million. We're now up to 8.5 million. Yeah, the building is had terrible water ingress, and as I was talking to somebody yesterday, if only the council had actually taken just small steps to replace the lead in the roof, or it wouldn't be anywhere near as expensive as it is now, but unfortunately that's the situation we found ourselves in. So we did quite a bit of work. We actually employed a heritage researcher to help us kind of tap into the stories around the history of the area, and she was wonderful. She did a lot of work with community groups and actually brought those stories out. And that for us as an arts organisation was fantastic. It offered us a fantastic palette to then go on to develop. I think perhaps what has been most enjoyable for me as a curator and as a creative is to think of how to tell those heritage stories in really interesting and artistic ways as part of the process. I was going to just say that the funding plan has been a massive headache, really. Obviously, it's constantly changed from day one. This was just an illustration of how we've been sort of trying to manage it. It feels like we're constantly chasing the clock with the funding plan, trying to beat this inflation that's constantly bearing down on us. And we've had some disappointments along the way. But we're currently, we've just submitted a 2-point-something million bid to the Capital Regeneration Fund, which is a Scottish Government fund, which, if that's successful, will bring us up to 9.3 million. So we're now sitting with a 700,000 shortfall, and that's been since 2012. It's taken us that amount of time to pull that money in. We've done all of the trusts and foundations, and we paid for a fundraising consultant, Bruce Tate, to come in and do an assessment of all the different funding strands that we could possibly tap into. So we've done trusts and foundations, and we've done major public bodies. We're now into a phase of trying to raise funds through major giving and through of other routes. So I've brought this to show you. This is our sort of Friends scheme, which we're just about to launch with a kind of a branded website all about the development. And we actually took the route of embedding within our website a crowdsourced type fundraising tool. I need to dash forward. Okay, this slide was just to demonstrate some of the. If you're used to doing this, you know all about the partnerships you need to develop, but. For us as an organisation, this was quite a significant change in our working practices, really. I think we'd pretty much worked within this enclave of the visual arts and the arts sector before, and suddenly we're working much more across, the special purpose vehicle for the development, the developers, the council, the local universities, the colleges, the funders, etc. So a much more of a partnership approach, leveraging in all this expertise, which I obviously don't have as an arts professional, to make the project a successful one. I'll just whiz through then. The only point that I really wanted to make here with regard to the process of planning the use of the space was that actually, although it felt very intense at the time, going through the business planning whilst we were going through planning the use of the space, the two actually interacted and influenced one another. So we actually have here a creative industries new build block, which wasn't in our original vision, to obviously to increase our asset base and to have creative industries spaces. So it's just to say that, you know, I guess be flexible. That's a do, isn't it? Be flexible, and you know, you're not going to end up where you think you're going to end up, and you know, your business model will change and adapt. So this was just again just to make that point really about the business planning and how that evolves as part of the process. Little bit about the building. When we went through OJ to bring the architects in, they kind of completely reorientated the building. Again, I was quite upset by this. You know, I thought, what you know, we've done all these stage B drawings, and now they're just throwing it all out the window, and we've got to start again, and we're reorientating. And obviously it was a fantastic stroke of genius really that they were talking about making this building really visible from the main thoroughfare. You'd be able to look right up through the building, obviously physically making it very accessible. They also really kind of resolved some of the issues of access in terms of levels of the building. And as I say, by working through with the architects and with the business planners, we evolved the design of the building. So the last point I was just going to make then was really about how we actually utilised within Heritage Enterprise this opportunity to connect an awareness of our organisation with the building. So we came up with a heritage interpretation program that involved artists working on the building and in the site with community groups that very much raised awareness of who we were as an arts organisation, as well as the heritage stories in and around the building. So we've done quite a lot of work in the development phase, and we've got a big program planned for the delivery phase as well. And I thought that was quite interesting that one of the school children did some lino print workshop with us, and the teacher had actually said he was going to use this lino print of the clock tower of the area in there as their school logo. So really, when you're talking about placemaking, I think that's it happening, right? So just the scale of our community engagement there, I thought it might be quite useful to see. And some more pictures about that community engagement program, which has obviously been the bit that I've really enjoyed. Okay, so just there's the time scales there. If anyone's setting out, I mean, if you're used to doing these things, you're aware of how many years it takes for us as an arts organisation to have your chief executive or your creative lead actually out of the organisation for 6 years is quite a big deal. And actually, I don't think it's been brilliant for the organisation. And I think if I were doing this again, I would probably say get someone else to do the building bit, and you just stay focused on the art bit, which is what you know how to do. But anyway, that's one of my lessons learned. And that was me and my marketing officer the day we were about to put the stage 2 in. So there we go. I'm done. Sorry, did I get there? Okay.
That was absolutely fantastic. Sorry to rush you a bit there, Sarah. We will have time for questions at the end. Just to flag up, obviously, that was a successful Stage 2 bid, and that's now in its delivery phase. And for those of you who are interested, you have got a Heritage Enterprise leaflet in your pack as well, which will give you a lot more